Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
My favorite,
Hello.
my favorite coffee lady in Vietnam.
Yeah, black coffee.
Black coffee with ice. She knows what I like already. Yeah.
Hello.
The main man. Today we are headed out to the beach, and I'm going to tell you about the first songs that I ever played with. Two. The first songs that I learned note per note. Okay, I played note per note as a kid. I put on the records and I would play along to them. Mind you that back then we had records and I had to, put on the record player and run back to the drum set and, hopefully start the tune at the right time and everything. Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. So let's get started. Let's go. It is a beautiful day here in Vietnam. I'm gonna find a little tree, maybe with shade, so I can have my coffee, talk about this very important subject, as we all grew up playing with our favorite tunes, or perhaps just tunes that our teachers told us to play. Either way, playing with music is extremely important, and this phase of learning drums, you copy your heroes, you copy your favorite songs, you play along to music that you're exposed to, and it shapes you in a lot of ways. It definitely shapes you, and it in some cases, in some ways, it even determines which way your career is going to go, right? So it's super important. It's a very important subject. And let me find a seat here so I can properly read these things to you. Okay, I've got a beautiful view here under the palm trees at one of my favorite beaches in Da Nang, Vietnam. And I'm going to read the list of who I played along with note per note. Okay, these are tunes that I learned note per note. Now, I don't know how well I sounded because I was just a kid, and there was no way to record back then, obviously. And remember, I was playing along to records, and a lot of times, I had to put my finger on the record to slow it down to see what the guys were doing. I did this a lot, and it was the only way to decipher what was going on. So here is a list that may be interesting for you to kind of see where I came from. I'm sure we all had this period in our lives, so maybe it's fun to talk about it. So yeah, the first group I played with, the first song I remember playing along to, was this tune by a group called the Spiral Staircase. The tune was called Every Day is a New Day. I'm sure you guys have heard that. That's a real old tune. It's like basically a rock shuffle. I used to love rock shuffles. Don't ask me why. I just loved it. I think the tune was simple enough for me to get my head around and play along to. Although I'm sure it wasn't probably sounding as good as the drummer on that track. It was fun to play with, and I had a great time. Now, after I started, playing with pop tunes like that, I really loved jazz. I mean, there was no way that I was going to play jazz at that age. I was just not well enough. I was just not good enough. So I discovered a play along by Jim Chapin. That was one of the first play alongs I ever played to, and that was I played a tune on there called Shiny Stockings. You know, I'd play that tune a lot. Obviously, I think I never really nailed it because it was probably above my ability level at that time. But I really liked it, and you know, I would imagine that I was playing jazz when I play along to it, though. That was cool. Now, in the next phase, as I got better, you know, I was studying and then checking out different drummers and learning about independence and stuff like that. I discovered a group called Chicago. You know, remember, I was really young. You know, I was discovering music, and yeah, Chicago. The drummer on there was just fantastic. The music on there, I think it was Danny, that drummer on all those tunes. Does anybody know what time it is? I love that song so much. Again, kind of a rock shuffle, slower tempo, mid-tempo. The drumming on there was just so great in my opinion. I loved playing along to that tune. And well, yeah, it was something that I never got enough of. It was so much fun. The next one, I actually did play a couple other Chicago tunes, but I can't remember what they were. But that one really stuck with me. The next one by a group called War, Me and Baby Brother. I loved that groove for some reason. You know, when I was a kid, I really dug that, man, and I loved playing along to that. It was so much fun, and it was super funky, in my opinion. That you know, that song I had, you know, just a blast playing along to. As I got better and better, I started, you know, playing songs that were maybe more difficult, maybe more involved, and that's when I started playing along to things like Jeff Lorber fusion. There was one song in particular, Magic Lady. That tune, I really had a blast with it. I loved the orchestration the drummer was doing. I think, you know, the drummer was Dennis Bradford. I hope I'm getting it right, man, but I think. That tune I played along with so much, and actually on that tune, on that record, I played along with quite a few of those tunes. Another one was a tune called Bright Sky. Bright Sky, really loved it, man. And again, the orchestration on the drum parts were so much fun, and there was hits. And another one on that same album is called Seventh Mountain. Seventh Mountain, a real fun tune as well. I just had a blast playing that. As my musical tastes evolved, you know, I started getting into different things. Of course, jazz was always there in the background, you know. I wished I could play jazz. I just didn't have, you know, the chops or the opportunity to play with any jazz players. So playing along to jazz records is not easy because, you know, there's so many things going on that you're not aware of, and you can't always hear the parts real clearly. You know, the cymbal stuff, the cymbal work, it's not that clear all the time. So I really, you know, loved playing along to jazz tunes, but I couldn't really like make a huge connection yet. So I kept playing along to things that I could hear very clearly, and I had a blast playing with them. One of those artists that I played along to was Al Jarreau. Al Jarreau, of course, Steve Gadd was on his records at the time, and one of the tunes that just you know, I loved so much was called Alonzo. Okay, actually I think that was Steve Gadd on there, or maybe it was Ralph Humphrey was on Blue Rondo a la Turk. I also played along with that one. That was such a great tune, man. Ralph did such a beautiful job on that. Anyway, Steve Gadd, I think, played on Alonzo, but no, that was Ralph. Sorry, that was Ralph. Anyway, I love that tune so much. It was so inspiring to play. You know, back then, music captured your imagination. At least it captured my imagination. It would transport me you know, out of daily life, you know, to another plane. You know, that's what music is supposed to do. I don't know. I don't know if kids get the same sensation out of music now, to be quite honest. I really don't. Another tune I love playing with from that album is called Easy. Easy. I love the chorus of that tune. Easy, easy. Steve Gadd, man, what a great performance that was. I just love playing along to that tune. Of course, Spain. You know, Spain was a lot harder, and I doubt that I was playing it note per note at that time, but I thought I was, maybe. I got it as close as possible. You know, that's the way I learned a lot of those tunes, just copying the drummer note per note as much as possible, and that's a very important step, I think. As a time went on, again, I you know, kept discovering music, and I think maybe this is a little bit out of order here, but Herbie Hancock, Headhunters, okay? That record, when I heard that record, it really knocked me out, man. It was insane. Harvey Mason on that record was just so unbelievably funky and musical. When I heard that music, it kind of scared me. You know, I was scared. It was scary. So that's why I said, man, I gotta learn this. What's going on here? I gotta check this out. Of course, Chameleon was the first tune, that kind of the more accessible one. But of course, I learned the whole thing, not just the A section. I love the B section, man. That bass line. You know, and Harvey's drum part was just so original, beautiful. Those rolls and the hi-hat openings and the improvisation during that whole section was off the charts. I just loved it. I copied Harvey note per note as much as I could on all the improv parts too, right? And it was a beautiful time. I can think back to those moments and in the innocence of it and how beautiful it was. I really loved playing those tunes. I got my coffee here. From my coffee lady. So good, Vietnamese coffee. Watermelon Man was another tune that I loved playing. The tempo was something that I really liked. I loved the real wide open space on that tune. I loved the space, you know? And the drum parts were just super funky to me. The breaks, you know, and the way Harvey orchestrated everything, I absolutely loved, and I really enjoyed playing that song. Sly, another tune that I just loved playing along to. Man, I played that song so many times. Sly, what a great performance again by Harvey Mason. And of course, Vein Melter. Now, Vein Melter, I really got transported almost out of my body all the time, every time I played this song. Vein Melter, what a trippy tune, man. It's almost like a soundtrack, you know. I copied all those parts and played exactly as well as I could, you know, at the time. I played all the parts that Harvey played, and it was such a blast, you know. I really think that those tunes helped me understand about form and structure and tension and release, you know, even back then. So, okay, moving on. Another group I played to a lot. I was really into the, you know, and during that time, this type of music was super popular too. Spyro Gyra is a group that was very popular among the kind of new fusion crowd. I think that was Joel Rosenblatt. Correct me if I'm wrong. Joel Rosenblatt played on a Morning Dance, I think. That was a tune I loved to play with. And yeah, I think I must have worn out that record playing along to it. Song for Lorraine is another tune I really loved off that record. I really loved the drum parts and the way you know, the bass and the drums are so locked in. You know, I can't say enough about playing along to records like that. I think it's a very formative thing. Anyway, my next album that I really loved, when it came out, everybody was blown away. Man, okay, just hang on a second. I just want to look at this. These are the typical tourist things that everybody does here. I hope you can see that. Those parachutes on the boat. That's something I never. I'm never gonna do that. Anyway, the Yellow Jackets tune, the first album that came out, was just so inspiring. All my bass player friends were like freaking out, right? All the young guys that I was hanging around with that were bass players, they were just totally freaked out by that record. And yeah, I started to learn all those tunes because I just loved it. Ricky Lawson was the drummer on that. I really loved Ricky, you know, although at the time I didn't know who he was when I was playing along to them. And one of the tunes was Sitting in It. I really loved the groove, man. The groove was so fantastic. Another tune, Rush Hour. It was a little busier tune that gave me a bit more problems. And I remember thinking, man, it's a hard tune. But it came together slowly. I played it a gazillion times. It's Almost Gone. Again, that was kind of like a thing that I loved, that groove, because it was kind of like a 6/8 groove that I later learned was a Nyaningo, basically kind of turned into funk, turned into fusion. But I really love that tune. It was super beautiful and airy. Loved it. Of course, Imperial Strut, super funky, and Priscilla. Those two tunes I played to a lot. And hey, just in case, I'm putting links to all these tunes in the description, so you know you can go and check them out. But Yellow Jackets were, man, just, you know, incredible. At the time, everybody was blown away, and it really was, you know, life changing for me to hear that music. Was crazy. Another great record was by George Duke, A Brazilian Love Affair. Again, I was completely blown away by that record. Believe it or not, who's on it again? Ricky Lawson. Sugarloaf Mountain. What a tune, man. Those horn arrangements and everything. What a great tune. Just loved it. Brazilian Love Affair, of course. The main tune of the album I played along to a lot. Loved the vocal track on that. The vocals were so nice. And the percussion parts were also very nice, inspiring to play along, you know, to play with and just keep the groove with Ricky. It was just amazing. I loved it. Summer Breezin', actually, it was a different drummer. Robertino Silva played on that. I loved that tune, although, you know, to play Brazilian music again and Afro-Cuban, it's like jazz. You can't really like play along to it. It has a very particular feel, and in that moment it's hard to reproduce that moment, you know. So unless it's like Brazilian pop and stuff like that, it's really hard to play along to it. But I did the best that I could and copied Robertino as much as possible. Cravo y Canela, another great tune on there. And I Need You Now, man, just great tunes. You guys really should listen to those tunes. All right. Okay, so as time went on, you know, I was burning to play jazz. I was just like, how the hell am I gonna do this? You know, how am I gonna play jazz? And I got a record by Maynard Ferguson. Okay, and this was a tune on Maynard's album called Day Ride. That tune hit me right in the gut, because it was funky and it had parts that I could follow. I could distinguish all the ride cymbal parts in the jazz section. Bob Economou was a drummer on that. His phrasing was super clear and precise, and it's something that I latched into right away. I loved his playing, and it was great to play along with. It was like taking a lesson with Bob. It was amazing. You should all check that out. I even did a transcription of that for my school exam. You know, some of these tunes I actually did transcribe. but this one in particular was so complex with so many things. I transcribed note per note, and I played it in one of my classes for Steve Houghton, I think it was, at PIT. Okay, then of course I played the theme from Rocky. Eventually, when I played with Maynard, I played the theme from Rocky with Maynard. It was a trip. It was a total trip. Okay, and as my jazz thing went on and on, I just my love affair with jazz, you know, was so big that I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop playing. So I discovered Rob McConnell and the Boss Brass, and the drummer Terry Clark. Now he is a drummer in big band that is super like clear with his setups, and the way he plays is so clear, so defined, that you can latch into that, you can latch onto that and play what he played as much as possible. You know, of course the cymbal work is something always to consider. It's complex, and you have to like sit there hour after hour and let the music go by and copy every single note as much as possible. But yeah, Terry Clark, one of the first tunes I learned off that record was "You Took Advantage of Me." Okay, if you listen to that tune, Terry has real clear phrasing on that, and you can like cop whatever he does. Of course, to sound like him is not easy, but I did my best at the time, and it was a great experience for me to play along with him. And the next tune I learned was the Waltz I Blew for You. That was a quite complex tune actually, but I love playing to it because it was obviously the waltz. And something about the waltz I love to play in 3, you know, and 6 and all that stuff. So something about that tune I really dug, and I copied, of course, Terry as much as possible in that tune. And then, of course, Just Friends, another kick-ass arrangement by Rob McConnell and the Boss Brass. And that was just so much fun to play with, so powerful, man. You really felt like you know, I really felt like I was there playing with the guys. And of course, Terry's phrasing really helped solidify my setups and my concepts for setups and things like that, orchestration. No More Blues was another great tune off that record that has like a samba kind of a feel, and Terry's part was just so nice on there. You know, I loved what he did there. It was fantastic. Okay, and that's my list of tunes that I kind of grew up playing along to. As time went on, you know, I got to play with musicians, and those formative years were invaluable because I played along to great music. And there was a time when one of my friends of the family gave me his whole record collection. I guess he was traveling and couldn't take him anywhere anymore, and I discovered a ton of music. Jean-Luc Ponty, Casey Charel was on there, and you know, just a ton of fusion artists, and I was completely blown away, you know. And I tried to play along to those tunes, but the complexity in some of those things were just, you know, just impossible. So to take away what you need to take away from these experiences, I think the play along tracks have to be very clear, very concise, conceptually clean, you know, in the drumming, the orchestration, very beautiful, so that you know what to do when you're playing live. You know, if it's super complex things, you know, it becomes more of a drum party thing. Drum parts, and I think that the guys playing on those tracks became great musicians other ways, you know, than playing along to tracks like that. That's my humble opinion. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and remember, I have links to all the tunes in the description of this video here. Coming to you from beautiful Da Nang, Vietnam, where I'm based at the moment. And yeah, palm trees and the sea is beautiful. I'm sitting here under a palm tree giving you my my play along list. And a lot of these play-alongs actually inspired my methods, working the interclock 1 and working the interclock 2. The tunes, of course, on those are a lot more worked out to accomplish things that you need to accomplish in your drumming, and then not random tunes. But yeah, anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this. Remember, the lesson site is waiting for you. $200 gets you into the year program. We also have the elite program going on, $1,900. You can see the video about that program on my site. And I'm going to be offering another service now, which is video consultations. All right, I'm going to have more on that pretty soon. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out. See you soon.